Hey, little girl. Thought you said you were ready for school.
Yes!
Well, let's go. Morning, everyone. It has been a rainy week here. We actually it's Friday, and I've been running around all week doing other things. We picked up teak earlier in the week, and we're going to get that teak planted today. That's really the primary thing we're here for. Since we're here, we're obviously got other things we're going to do as well. But we, man, we're looking good here, actually. The rain has been really helpful. Obviously, we've had a lot of rain. It's a rainy season. It's actually been a pretty good rainy season, too. Normally, last year the rain stopped before now. This year, it's still been rainy, although it doesn't look like we're getting rain today. But you never know. It could, by this afternoon, these perfect blue, clear skies could be clouded over in heavy rains. It's just the way things have been lately. So let's take a look at where we are. Take a look at how things... Let's see how everything looks. Well, our bananas that had that brutalization earlier this week by the goats, they seem to be coming back. They look pretty good, actually. Got a lot of new shoots coming up. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do about this yet. We need to establish some way to stop these damn goats from destroying this stuff. Unfortunately, until I have the house built, we're in kind of a awkward position of what do we do. It's just, it really is a matter of I need to be living on this site, and then I can deal with things much more effectively. But for now, this is what we are. This is what we've got. These bananas are recovering, but they're still suffering pretty bad. This thing looks nice, although this passion fruit clearly got scalped too. Well, the goats like that too, huh? I almost wish I knew of an annual crop that I could plant that the goats would go after. So I could plant that and let the goats chow down on the candy and avoid eating these. Of course, they may look at these bananas as candy for all I know. If any of you guys have a suggestion of an annual crop that I can put seed down for, that the goats will go after, that will be so tempting that the goats won't go after everything else, put it down in the comments. Let me know. This is a big sunflower. I mean, I gotta admit, I really didn't think we'd ever get sunflowers this big here. But we have them, so let's hope these give us seed. If we get seed out of these, we can plant them next time. Alright, I intended on planting those teak today. But we have a problem, and the problem is primarily this ground is just too wet. Secondarily, the ground is overgrown. They're not ridiculously in trouble or anything, but with all the rain, this grass has started to come back. All the trees are gone that we had here before. The big trees, they're all gone, so we're covered in grass now. And I have an idea on what to do about the grass, but I need to formulate that a little bit more. Take a look at this. I gotta enjoy the good things while I can. This right here is an ebony tree. This ebony has got to be 4 feet tall, give or take. And it's successfully gone to one stem and it's now getting higher than the grass, which is a good sign. This tree will poke out above this grass and it'll survive. We're going to do a little cleaning around some of these, but we should be all right. One of the guys that's been helping me out here, he wants to plant this section out, and I've told him he's welcome to plant as long as it doesn't interfere with the trees. So he's got another guy, they're going to come in here, they're going to pull all this grass and plant it out in sweet and hot peppers. Is that what you sweet and hot peppers? Yeah, all right, sweet and hot peppers. So they're going to spend the next week or so, or two. By the time I come back from my trip, he tells me this whole place will be clear and it'll be planted out. So that'll work well. He wants to take care of these, he wants to take care of this stuff. He can clear it. The stuff he plants won't interfere with the stuff that I've got growing. So, win-win for everyone. We are flooded over here. There's so much water. Take a look here. I didn't wear my water boots. I really should have. As always, I leave my water boots in the truck when there's water everywhere. So, we cannot plant those teak trees here. We just can't. It's not an option. This ground is too wet. We could flood them out before they have a chance to get established. One of the things we came across while we were here is this tree. And this is a silky oak, and it's beautiful. Now this is probably between 4 and 5 feet tall. And it's grown perfect. But it needs some pruning. And we're going to get my pruning shears, we're going to do some pruning to this to make sure that it continues to grow straight and the way we want it to. We do not want to give this an opportunity to give us trouble. Now, when I say this is giving us trouble, this is what I mean. We have this branch here is starting to get out into the sun, and it's getting a little big. We only want branches in the top 2/3 of the tree. So if this is, say, 6 feet tall, the first 2 feet of this, you don't want any branches. So right now, we've got 3 branches in the first foot that have to go. But we also have a main junction right here. This main junction is showing, this branch is starting to show some strength. So we want to get rid of that before it has a chance to become a dominant lead. We want to focus all our energy into this main branch, which is our top branch. So we're going to get in here, we're going to cut all these down and focus the energy so this will straighten out and this thing will go straight up. Here we are at the same tree, and you see we cut off basically everything from this point. Now, I'll admit that's a little more than 1/3. It's probably 40%. But we've got a lot of really good, healthy growth on top. And this tree is going to do just fine. But remember, this is all timber. This is a timber tree. This is not a fruit tree. You prune timber very differently than you would a fruit tree. So keep that in mind. This is for timber production. Timber production, you want straight, long boards without knots. It's very important. Not what you do with a fruit tree. Fruit trees are quite different. Now these are our teak trees, and we just can't plant them in this kind of wet. It'll kill them. So we've got to let it dry out. What I'm thinking I might do is replant them into bigger planter bags over the weekend and care for them at the house until we have a clearing, until we have a section good enough to actually plant them. Because I don't know how long it's going to take. The way the rain is coming lately, could be a long time. Clearly it rained here more than it rained at the house, because we didn't get nearly enough rain to do this out at the house. It's Friday, so what we're going to do, we're going to run out to the beach and we're going to get a load of seaweed. I need to do at least one more compost pile before we leave. So the plan is we're going to get a load of seaweed today. Then next week we'll get a load of chicken manure and another load of seaweed. And we'll make a much better compost pile with 2 loads of seaweed for 1 load of chicken manure instead of the 1-to-1 I had been doing. Well, I tell you, we're at low tide today, and for some reason there isn't a whole lot of seaweed here. We're gonna have to take a little walk, see what there is. Maybe we may have to take a lot of the dry stuff, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The dry stuff has got a lot more carbon and less nitrogen, but still has all the minerals that we want. We're gonna see what we can do here. But this is the lowest tide I've seen this beach. There's less seaweed than I thought there would be. So let's see what we can find. Normally after rains, we get a good supply of seaweed. The rains stir things up and the seaweed gets washed ashore, but man, not today. The beach looks like it was recently cleaned. And I know nobody cleans this beach. And we have a little fresh seaweed right up here. We're going to start with some of the fresh stuff. Maybe, I don't know. Well, there is some seaweed here. Not nearly enough to fill the truck, but there's a lot of the dried stuff. So I want to try and get as much dry as we can, and then we'll come here and get this stuff. Wow, this really is the lowest I've ever seen this tide. Because this area here, the last time we were here, this area was completely underwater. All these rocks, this is where the waves were crashing and the seaweed was collecting. And it's dry as dry gets. So, I think we're gonna have trouble getting seaweed today. You're gonna carry that for Danny? Come on, let's go in. Careful of the step. There you go. Come on. In we go. Wasn't a complete waste. We were kind of a bust on the beach. Not that much seaweed. In fact, we got one half barrel full of seaweed. So, but we did get some bananas. We got 15 bananas here. We're gonna plant these Monday in the banana circle. So we've got these 15 plus we got 6 more. So we got 20. We had enough for 4 banana circles. That's a step in the right direction. But these are not getting planted today. These guys have been working here clearing this section because he's, like I said, he's gonna plant peppers in here. But while he's doing this, we come across this silky oak, which is a good looking tree, but it needs a little pruning. So we're going to get in here and clean this tree up and make it grow more appropriately for what we need. Let's take a look. Right here is what I'm talking about. This branch is starting to take over and could give us problems as a lead. So we're going to get rid of that, and we're probably going to prune this one back too, because we want all the growth to go into this main stem right here. There, that's much better. And we're just going to take the cuttings and drop them down. Cut and drop. Drop the cuttings in place, give us a nice clean tree. That looks much better. And this will actually grow better now too. All the energy is going to go into this. Just what we want. Alright, we are trying to make sure today's not a complete loss. We did get some bananas. Everything else has been kind of a bust. The key thing I need to do right now is check the beehives. We've got 3 hives. 2 of them for sure need to be looked into. The hive, there's one that we need to do some work to because it's kind of a mess. But it's a mess because of what I did to it before, so I need to fix it. But we're going to work on that. We're going to check that new hive as well. Those are at least we're going to do that. Then we need to turn the 2 compost piles. Those are really the only key, really important things that have to be done today. We don't really need to check the other hive. We need to check this hive and the new hive. I don't want to get in and disturb the other one yet. We checked it last week. This one we've got an issue we need to fix. So this time we're going to focus on fixing this one. This frame used to have a lot more honey in it. They've been eating the honey here. I have to wonder what Now, considering all the rains, the rain washes away nectar and pollen. So I can understand why they're eating the honey. They store it for this exact reason. But this has lost 3/4 of the honey that was in it. So we have these two frames we're going to put in the lower section, and we're going to put the two of the ones down there that haven't been drawn out up here. I instinctively don't like holes inside the hive, so when you put a kind of a messy frame right in the center, they instinctively want to fill it. Hopefully they'll catch my mistake. We're going to see what this hive looks like. See how she's done since we first saw her last week. Now remember, this is our brand new hive. This is the third hive. It's been here for a week. So we don't expect miracles, but we do expect something. So let's take a look how she looks. Here's something we don't expect to see very often. Take a look at what we've got. We've got a friend. Or a bad guy, depending on your view. I have a hard time believing he's eating bees, but he might be growing. If you wonder why we smoke, take a look at this frame. This frame tells you why we smoke them. Because look at where all the bees are. All the bees are in here, nose deep into the honey, harvesting because they think there's a forest fire. That's why you smoke them. Look, same thing here. They're all harvesting all this honey. I like to show the queen so you get a perspective. You take a look right there, see the yellow dot? That's the queen. She's about twice the size of the standard workers. She's even bigger than the drones, which are the males. But she's got that real long tail section. She's a good layer too. We've got, see how thick this is? She's laying in every single one of these. This hive looks really good, actually. I'm real happy with her. These girls should be just fine. Now, we built this compost pile. Hell, I don't even know exactly when. We haven't turned it nearly as often as we should, but it's compost. You know what they say, compost happens. We're just going to turn it now. We've got a little bit of time before we're done. We're going to turn this pile, make sure it gets a good watering in the process. And then we've got another pile over there we're going to try and turn as well, depending on time. It's a little later than I had hoped, but I think we can still get it done. This definitely needed a good turning. It's been a long time and that compost does not look like it should look. Normally when we turn these piles, they stink. And this pile does not stink. There's none of the smell from the high nitrogen from the chicken manure. And normally when we use this compost, this chicken manure compost, we've had a real bad smell when we turn it. This time we don't have that. Right, this pile did not really stink. We never ran into a point where it was a problem. That's a good sign. We added a lot more grass to this mixture and a lot more wood chips than we normally do. And it looks like it really did the job. This pile has gone anaerobic. It's either too wet, it's definitely too wet, but it smells. And the smell is not chicken manure. That smell is just the anaerobic stench that comes from an anaerobic goo. And that's a problem. So we're shut the water off. We're not adding any water. We're just turning it. And we're going to come back Monday and we're going to turn it again. This pile has got to be turned once, twice, maybe 3 more times before I travel, to make sure it does not go anaerobic again. But we don't want it anaerobic. Anaerobic is a very bad thing. So by turning it, we're adding oxygen to the mix. That should help it go aerobic again. Once it goes aerobic, I'm sure this is going to be good.
What are you
Alright guys, that's it for today. The day did not go anything like what I planned. They seldom do, but I really thought we'd get some of those teak in the ground. But with the amount of water over there, I think we're going to have trouble getting that teak. And it's hard to say when the rains are going to end. Last year the rains are over before this time. Now, if the rains are over, which it rained all week here, that's why there's so much water over there. I'm really hoping we can get those trees in the ground in the next 2 weeks. Otherwise, we're going to have an issue. It's Friday. It's actually later than I had planned on a Friday, but we're packing up. We're headed home. I think I'm going to get some jerk chicken tonight. I'm going to call and see if they want it. So anyway, we're out of here. It's been a busy week. Even though the day didn't go quite as planned, we did get a few things done. So, you know, one step forward is all that matters. All right, guys, God bless. We'll be back next week.